Nero, let's put a trigger warning on trigger warnings.
I gotta take it on the other side.
That's right, we're back with The Other Side. Me and Anthony DiRenzo. I'm Dan Borowski, producer of the Dom Giordano program with Anthony DiRenzo. Taking over 1210 WPHT like we're pirate radios of the past and talking about whatever the heck we want to talk about. Anthony, what's up tonight, dude? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm in a lot of pain. So I apologize. If I grimace at any point tonight and Anthony's like making a point, I'm probably not grimacing at Anthony. I'm grimacing at a really bad stabbing back pain I have right now. I actually know someone up in Mayfair. There's this Anne Marie. She's like a great source for our Dom Giordano show. She's a chiropractor that I actually go see sometimes. And Ben Manis actually hit me up one time. He's like, hey, who's a chiropractor up in the Northeast that you go and see?
Oh, my goodness.
Hook them up as well. Gotta go see her
well,
tomorrow.
we got connections. That's always good.
Yeah. So what's on your mind tonight?
I mean, plenty has been going on. Obviously, I think we can't ignore this. So a big part of why we started this podcast was to talk about local elections, and the mayoral's race is very important to both Dan and I, as we're both Philadelphia residents, and we're very, I mean, it's been a tight race, and there's been a lot of coverage, and we've been kind of in the thick of it ever since it started. So, I mean, you've talked to most of the candidates. I've talked to some of them. We've seen them pretty much speak at every single forum.
Hang with Amin Brown today. You did.
Yeah. That was awesome. Talking to him and chatting it up. But I mean, getting to know all of them has been great, and I don't know. I'm really excited that there's at least a new chapter, no matter what happens here. I don't know. I mean, where are you at with it? Are you excited?
You just think Kenny gave up at this point? Like the guy had a vision initially, right? And the vision was a hyper-progressive one, I'm guessing. But he had to have something in mind that he wanted to accomplish for the city. It's like he just gave up and turned into I don't want to call the guy an alcoholic that's making allegations. But like he seems like a guy that just goes and, drowns himself in wine at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people in Philadelphia saw Kenny as someone who was a Philadelphian. They saw him as someone who related to them. And I think they all were sold kind of a false bag of goods. He got comfortable, he got complacent, and, they want to sit in those ivory towers and have their security. And I think that's a big part of what we need to change, and a big part of why I'm excited about this election, because I think no matter who wins, you really need whoever does win to be out there on the streets, to be talking to Philadelphians, to be talking to businesses, to be going to the police, helping them, like in the community, walking around, not just always guarded by a bulletproof SUV.
Really seems like he's in a castle on the hill almost.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, we can't have that anymore.
Yeah.
How's this? I mean, this city is not a city that can thrive on that. I think we all know that. It's a blue collar city. I think that's one of the flaws I've seen in the progressive think toward some of the things that we approach here in Philadelphia, of going against the quote unquote rich, when it's like, there's not that much, a lot of the rich left here. You guys tax the hell out of them if we don't, that's a big part of why.
And I hate to say it, a lot of the rich, especially in a blue collar city like Philadelphia, they're business owners and they're, lawyers and I mean, especially business owners, they're the one providing jobs to, people in the city, citizens. So, I mean, you don't want to drive those people out.
Yeah, we have Rodeo in the chat saying "King in the castle, King in the castle," and that's exactly what it is. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It really is. We can't have that anymore. We need our mayor walking around in the streets, talking to people. Like, I mean, not to be blunt, but I almost want them at crime scenes, talking to families, seeing how this is, being in the moment and helping that. Like we are in an epidemic right now, and no matter how you cut it, and I don't want to even necessarily politicize it, we just need to come together as a city, have more empathy, and realize like we can be there for one another. And I hope whoever that is, and we could get into who we like now. I mean, I guess I'm leaning toward Dom. And I'm not necessarily.
Well, let me ask you, phrase it this way: starting when you first heard everyone's name compared to now, has it been Dom this entire time for you? Okay.
No. I think over time his detail in policy and his empathy and just the way he's approached the entire election, I think has been, for the most part, a class act. And you haven't seen a lot of things come out of the Dom camp where he's just bashing others. He's very focused on, I think, being that Philadelphian that I'm trying to say, that I think the city needs and I think desperately wants. We need the walk around the city. I feel like we all, kind of coexist in different cultures, and it's one of the most diverse cities in the country. And I think our mayor needs to represent that and understand that and be in the communities rather than just talking about those communities from a Zoom meeting or City Hall or wherever that may be. Because that's, and don't get me wrong, I also have liked some of what Jeff Brown has had to say, but he's concerned me a little bit of late. Rebecca Reinhart at times I've liked, but I think over time her policy detail has concerned me. And I would say Sherelle.
Well, let me stop you, Rebecca Reinhart. Rebecca Reinhart did that huge audit into the police department, police union. She really angered the police union with that. Do you see a problem really solely because of that? Because Reinhart's been surprisingly moderate on crime. Yeah. She hasn't had a lot of progressive takes. Do you see her relationship with police being a problem?
It could be. I think we've seen that trend. I mean, for example, I know there was an Inquirer quiz you could take this week where it was essentially asking you 7 questions, and one of the questions was relating to police. It didn't necessarily talk about police unions or police support, but it talked about, do we need to fund the police more? Do we need to allocate the money better for the police? Do we need to just hire more police straight up, or do the police need no help, if anything, maybe even less funding? And that's, I mean, the fact that that's even an option is absolutely absurd. I think there are a lot of things that hold back the entire department right now, and a lot of them would even tell you that. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. I think taking money away or thinking we don't need more money put into it it's not a wise decision. Yeah, it really isn't.
So for me, I started really liking, so from day one, I liked Amon Brown. Amon Brown, when there was a controversy with motorcycles and ATVs, he's a state representative, and he was a caller into the Dom show, a guest, and was really saying surprising things that you wouldn't expect to hear from a Democrat sitting in the state house. Yeah. So I liked him a lot coming into it. Now I really feel that both Alan Dom and Sherelle Parker have essentially evened it out between the three of them. I want to couch everything by saying if there was a possibility for David O to make a realistic shot, I really like a lot of what that guy has brought to the campaign, the debates. I really like what I'm not saying that just because it's a conservative station that we're broadcasting with this 1210 WPHG. I really like what David O has brought more than anybody else. But between those Democrats, Sherelle Parker, Alan Dom, and Amon Brown, I think they have very similar stances, particularly on public safety. And I really think they need to differentiate themselves. You look at the Inquirer poll, though, if we're being realistic, 18% for Reinhardt, 17% for Parker, 15% for Gim, 14% for Dom, 11% for Jeff Brown, and then 2% for Amon Brown. But looking at Sherelle Parker versus Alan Dom, I think Sherelle is more Philadelphia than Alan Dom. And I say that because I feel like Sherelle really, really relates to every Philadelphian, particularly women in Philadelphia. Roe, Dom's wife, loves her. Maisie loves her. Alan Dom's such a numbers guy that I feel like he might bore a lot of people. Yeah, so I could see that. I worry about that as well. But either way, I mean, shameless plug here. Monday, 1 p.m., those three, Sherelle Parker, Alan Dom, and Amon Brown, are going to be facing off against one another. Dom Giordano will be moderating debate right out here in the hub at Odyssey. Hopefully we can hear, what's different between those two. But I think it's going to come down. I think Gim's out of it. You think Gim's kind of lost her place at this point?
I mean, I guess so.
I feel like Reinhardt's kind of elbowed her out for the progressive vote. It
seems like it. I mean, it seems like Rebecca has maintained some momentum moving towards the end of it here in the home stretch. And Helen, I think Helen with the AOC and the Bernie stuff, I mean, come on. Most people that are voting for...
Dude, she got the Incredible Hulk to endorse her. I mean, don't you care what Mark Ruffalo thinks about a Philadelphia politics?
I just think, I just think all of those people that would be swayed by those kind of moves are already voting for Helen anyway. So I kind of agree with you. She will put up a fight, though. I think no matter what happens, Helen probably ends up second or third.
Yeah.
But I still think whoever wins that, I guess I'm really feeling like Dom or Sherelle will win it. Just gut feeling right now.
Okay.
But I don't know. That could totally... I think Jeff Brown could come out of the blue, and Helen, if she gets the right support. But again, I think at this last-minute moment, Helen is the least likely to get those extra voters with endorsements like that.
Yeah.
I think the people that are undecided, I think, are very kind of pent on what you were just saying, being very Philadelphian, whether that's Sherelle, whether that's Rebecca, whether that is, I mean, I guess Dom, because I know he moved here in a sense, but he's lived here almost his whole life. So, and even Jeff Brown, like all of these people, I think you could say are more Philadelphian, I guess, than Helen. But Helen moved here, what was it, in college, I believe?
Yeah.
So, you know, and she's been involved with Philadelphia politics. I just think at the end of the day, people are going to go down to who they relate to most. And I think you're exactly right with Sherelle does probably relate to women most.
The thing that worries
sense.
me, it stuck out to me with what you just said, was with the gut feeling. And I have a gut feeling that Parker or Dom would do it too, but I don't think gut feelings and Philadelphia politics go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because what worries me is that voters also get that gut feeling that, oh, you know, it's going to be okay. Parker, Dom, they're going to get in, so I really don't have to go out to the polls. Meanwhile, you have someone like Gim who has radical, rabid support, and it doesn't take much to win, especially here. It's like only like tens of thousands of votes. I think it was like 30,000 votes or something won an election.
Well, and that's the trends of Gen Z voting, and not even just Gen Z. You could talk about millennials and other just young people in general. I think that voter base continues to grow. So if that is big enough, and you know, as much as people want to complain about Helen and her stance on schools because she's flipped up with the charter school stuff, she still probably has won over most teachers here. So, you know, that's another possible growing base, possible. But again, I think that's another thing where a lot of the teachers, if they weren't supporting Helen a couple months ago, I don't necessarily think they would be now.
Yeah. Yeah. So this Philadelphia Inquirer poll that I gave the results for, how they determined it was through ranked choice voting. And
I like ranked choice voting.
I do too.
Hot take.
I do too. I tried arguing with Dom, and
I've argued with plenty of conservatives on this.
So if ranked choice though were enacted in Philadelphia, you think that helps progressives or moderates more?
In my opinion, I think it would help everyone, because then you have your kind of pick of the litter a little bit more instead of just like. Because I guess right now, people are going in saying, hey, I might be conflicted on one or two people, but which one of those two has the real shot to win?
Yeah.
And I think that's such a gamble, and I think it almost goes back to what you were just saying with the gut feeling thing. Maybe it does just come down to, like, instinct when people get in there. They're like, all right, well, I just have a feeling that this one's going to win, and they'll ride with that. And I don't know if that's going to make it closer or further apart when it comes to results, but I don't know. It's gonna come down to the wire. I think this may be. I mean, is this the biggest primary they've had? It's got. I don't know enough about it, but it seems so.
Like, you got to think
broad.
It's record-setting crime numbers. Carjacking numbers. You have a progressive DA. I don't want to put on my Krasner land hat, but I will. Larry Krasner is an absolute negative detriment to Philadelphia, and I can rant and rant and rant about him.
Krasner land every week, Thursdays at 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did it today. Yeah. I don't even know what we were talking about because you just threw me off with ranting about Krasner there. But it's. I think a lot of longtime Philadelphians, like people on my block in Port Richmond, people talk that the 90s were bad and there were times that, it's gotten bad here in Philadelphia. Yeah. But those that have lived here, their entire lives, generations, tell me repeatedly this is the worst they've ever felt here in Philadelphia regarding safety. So I think that you're right when you say, it's one of the biggest Democratic primaries. I think it's the most important primary because if we elect someone like Helen Gim, and Dom says it, but we're going to continue on the same path that's got us here, and I really attribute a lot of what's got us here in Philadelphia to our progressive DA, Larry Krasner.
I think it's a part of it. I think he's also so out of touch that it leads to this, almost like our chat was saying, king of the castle mentality. If a new mayor kind of showed up Krasner and went to crime scenes and just did his thing, or it did his or her thing, whoever
and
that
just publicly blamed Krasner and said he's not doing his job. We keep having this kind of thing.
This blood is partially on your hands. What are we doing here? Why does this happen every day? What are the repeat offenders?
Please.
We gotta have things spiced up a little bit in that sense. People have to start, and even if you are a Democrat, that doesn't mean you can't call out Krasner. Like, we have to have conversations about this stuff. Is the fact that, like, blinders? Let's just put on the blinders because he's a Democrat.
You're getting worked up about Krasner, though. Look at this.
He drives me nuts just because he's one of these people on the pedestal with the golden spoon in his mouth, and he has every
largely
single.
What does it for me too?
Yeah. And that trait in anyone, he can't relate to these families. I don't care what you say. He can't. Once he starts going to these crime scenes immediately and showing me that he cares, like, I could disagree with him all day. If he does stuff like that and starts showing up and looks for new ways to figure this out, I'll eat my own words. But you know what? These people make me right every single time because it's about politics over policy and politics over people. Quite honestly, it's upsetting and ridiculous.
So to put a bow on the Philadelphia mayoral chat we're having, which of these candidates do you think would be that mayor that would stand up and say that kind of thing about Larry Krasner?
None of them.
No?
None of them want to even inch toward it right now.
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
guess the one I lean toward that most would be Jeff Brown. I know he's timid right now. Yeah.
Really?
I know he's timid right now.
You think because of the police union?
I just think because he's been timid right now and kind of laying low. Once he gets in there, whether it's the Sixers arena or going after people like Krasner and finding ways to find solutions. I mean, come on.
Oh, so you think he's a Trojan horse for a more moderate?
I would say so. Yeah.
More capitalist type mayor.
Yeah, and I think that's why that's why all the slander around him.
Because Dom's on the opposite side, where he thinks almost a similar sense, but for more progressive values. So
I know he's on.
It's interesting.
I know he's on equity boards.
But why do you both have that question?
Well, look at his record as a capitalist.
Well, it's not only that; it's that dark money.
Yeah,
he has a lot of money that's funneled into his campaign.
Yeah, but that's politics. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not trying to justify but all these other people who have been on council. God knows if we went through all the money that they've gotten, and God knows from where. I mean, it's
true. Yeah.
Miss Helen Gim got caught at what was it, the Union League, where DeSantis, and she swore she would never go again. And at least that place is in Philly. But she fundraises all over, and these people fundraising all over. It's just you gotta. I respect you more if you're in Philly, but at the same time, the political structure. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm fully against it. I wish super PACs and all these kind of things weren't even allowed to donate. But we're in a world where they are, and I'm not necessarily going to hold that against the candidate because it's kind of how the cookie crumbles. Like, it's a dirty game, and I'm not proud of any candidate doing that, but I get it, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to another topic. We were going to talk a little bit about China. We've spent about 20 minutes talking about Philadelphia mayoral, so I'm thinking maybe we move over to something more fun, sports.
Yeah, I'm in for it. Yeah.
Sixers last night after a great game one against the Celtics. Man, they looked fantastic without Embiid. The chemistry was just like they I loved how they looked. This game two, they looked like they were running in mud. Joel comes back, and not only is Joel moving slow on offense, defense, he looked freaking incredible. I don't know what was going on.
He's not going to be 100%. I mean, he straight up said that after the game. And I think we all kind of know that. That's apparent. At the same time, I think Joel, even when he's a bit injured, he's still better than most players. He can find a way. He was a little off. He was a little awkward. It's game two. I think they were riding high and maybe took themselves a little too seriously. And maybe Embiid, I don't know, just got off rusty. Harden did not have the confidence that he should.
Well, I think Embiid, especially the first half, the dude was clearly struggling with a knee brace.
Yeah.
There was multiple times. I mean, there was the What's his name? Grant Williams. Grant Williams kind of like nudged him on the 3-point line, and Embiid went down.
Yeah.
I don't think that was an embellishment by Embiid. I think that was him falling over because he couldn't catch his balance on that giant knee brace, because a couple plays later you have that foul shot that he takes, and then he falls after that as well. So I think a lot of what we saw in the first half was Embiid shaking off, trying to learn how to. But then just the absolute sluggishness. I mean, Harden, when Embiid went out, it seemed like Harden flipped a switch. But why can't he have that switch turned on, when Harden's on the court? Why isn't he controlling the ball, Embiid down in the post?
I'm not against Embiid having the ball at the top of the key or at the 3-point line, because he's proven he's okay with it. But off of an injury in game 2 of a huge series, I'm kind of with you. You need to have your wings out there. They play great. I think the issue is spacing a lot of the time, and as much as you want Joel in the paint, I think they're also worried after an injury that he could get too much contact, maybe aggravate the injury, maybe get too many fouls there, I don't know, in the first half. So it's all something that was too much of an adjustment, and Doc just continues to drive me nuts. I feel like he doesn't necessarily adjust. And in the third quarter, just riding our bench. And I get it. Maybe our guys are tired a little bit, but at the same time, come on, man. It's the playoffs. You got to push. You got to get those guys out there. You got to yell at them. You got to scream. You got to motivate them.
Do you trust Paul? B-ball Paul Reed?
I mean, I think he's one of the most.
He's not a good basketball player.
I'm
repeating that from so Henry, another producer. Me and Henry have a conversation. Those are his words. I'm repeating here and stealing, because I totally agree with it. I don't think he's a good basketball player, but the guy hustles so hard.
Sometimes that's all you need, and I think we've been lacking that on our bench. And look at, even in game 1, he did everything he had to do for Joel. I think I'm pretty sure he had 12 rebounds, maybe only 8 points, but he stepped up. And early in the game, I mean, Tatum was getting to the rim, and Tatum. Come on, Tatum's just one of those guys. I know people are freaking out on Twitter. Stop him. He's gonna get to the rim. Yeah. Especially when Embiid's not in there, if he wants to get to the rim, he's gonna get to the rim.
In today's NBA,
and 9 times out of 10, they're gonna call the foul.
Yeah.
Which something in this series, I saw Celtics fans complaining when Embiid fell back after some contact on a foul. And for the love of God, oh my God, have you seen Marcus Smart play the game of basketball?
Yeah.
I was up in New England talking to some friends.
Wait, are you saying you don't like the way Marcus Smart plays?
No.
Really?
No.
I'm the opposite.
What?
I appreciate the way Marcus Smart.
Oh my God.
I think Marcus Smart's I think he's one of the most underrated players of the past 10 years.
I hate him so much.
The dude never puts up numbers, but he's
a professional
scrapper on the court.
He should win an Oscar for his performance.
Okay, so you're talking about the embellishment side of him.
I know everyone does it. I know everyone does it. I get it. I know everyone does it, but I think he's the worst. The worst. And it's funny, Celtics fans are telling me the only reason Harden and Embiid ever get any points is because of fouls, which is just, that is blasphemy.
If we're being unbiased, Embiid is.
He does
an
it.
Embellisher.
They all do it.
And Harden, every time he takes a 3-point shot, that foot's going out, and he's trying to.
Hey man, I'm not the #1 advocate for how the NBA is run when it comes to fouls, but if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. I don't necessarily agree with it either, but I think they have gotten better with calling basketball plays a basketball play. For example, that Maxey play in game 1 at the end, where I believe it was Smart who planted his feet right there in the key, right under the hoop. And Maxey was falling forward with a layup, got it in, and fell on Smart, and Smart had his feet planted. But it doesn't matter. That's right there. That's physics. That's a basketball play.
Yes.
Maxey is falling forward, putting the basketball in the hoop.
Do?
Yeah, that he has all the momentum. Exactly. That's a basketball play. It doesn't matter if you plant your feet. And that was something that
Celtics fans we can bring on for the next Otherside.
I could, I could call a couple guys. Oh my God, they
like
drive me nuts.
Yeah.
They drive me nuts.
So the reason why
Cowboys fans.
Reason why I keep rudely looking down on my phone as we do a live stream here, so I was pulling up the odds for this coming game, and you currently have the Sixers underdogs by 2 points. Celtics are favored by 2.
Yeah, they've been underdogs the whole series. Game 1, what was it, 10.5?
Yeah, I think so. And it was 9.5
I know,
after that.
Come on. Yeah, I think I got it live at 7.5.
Wow.
But, man, I think, come on, tomorrow, Joel Embiid, home at the Well, getting the MVP trophy. Are you kidding me?
Do you think we take both these games? Do you think we have to take both these
the
games?
home crowd could be a game changer. Embiid, that energy after being presented the MVP trophy, I think it could be a really great kind of start off and hopefully give them the energy they need. Do they need both games? No. They need at least the game tomorrow.
Okay.
At the very least. I mean,
So go back to Boston, split series. You're okay with that? You think
I'm
they're gonna-
okay. I'm okay with it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I really hope that this sparks them tomorrow, having that trophy celebration and the home crowd. I mean, this home crowd, that if you're going down there, you got to be rabid. It has to be. This is everything
How much
we've
are
been
tickets,
waiting
you
for.
know?
I've been looking.
Have you?
The market was around 150 per, and I was
That's it?
considering. But then it's gone up to around 200 at
Why
least.
would you not take it and
so.
just resell it if you
Eh,
go?
you're right. I don't know.
Dude, I'm looking.
Too
It's
late
not.
now.
It's not bad. It's what's that? Assembly room, bro?
Yeah, the assembly room.
What's the assembly room?
That's all the way.
I'm not
it's-
familiar.
It was a former media area, and now half of the
So
media
it's like
area.
standing room only for Eagles games.
They have like bars up there and things like that.
That's pretty cool.
But they also have a row. They have one row where you can sit.
So
and
that
it's a
ticket you were
decent
looking
view.
at, was that for assembly room?
Yeah, that was for
so
one of the
you
seats
can
there.
actually still get one for $149.
They've gone a little. They'd gone down a little. I think the last time I looked was after Joel winning the MVP. So it's been fluctuating.
Spikes. Yeah. Some football. I hope we get a trophy with the Sixers, and I hope we get one with the Eagles. And I really don't see anyone standing in our way, especially in the NFC. Is there anyone you can think of that you're scared could usurp the Eagles as the NFC champion?
Is it crazy to say that the Lions might actually
Wow.
be good?
With Goff or with the new guy? I can't think of his name. Tennessee. Malika
Yeah. That
Hooker. Hendon Hooker. Yeah. There you go.
I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to challenge the Eagles, but I think they've done actually pretty well this offseason. You know who else I think's done pretty well? The Bears. I
Okay.
think the Bears are a dark horse. I would take them in any future bet if you're looking at the futures market. Bears to win the division at the very least. I think they could be a dark horse team, and I think they still make some trades too, and continue to improve that offense for Justin Fields. Justin Fields ready to pop. I mean, he really last season what he was showing at the end of the year, I think they could really, really make a jump here. But when you say who is really the Eagles' biggest challenger, I guess still the Cowboys or the Niners. But I mean, the Packers got weaker, obviously.
Okay, so
I
I
don't
just
even-
we're turning into a betting show. I love this. Just pulled up the odds. Chiefs are favored plus 600 for futures for a Super Bowl win. Obviously AFC team, but then the
Yeah.
Eagles are tops of the NFC. 49ers, and that's actually what I was going to bring up is San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not concerned without a quarterback. I mean, until they show that they have good quarterback play, I don't think they can compete with Hurts and Crow.
They just have
Like,
such
our
a talented offense that it
Well,
almost doesn't matter.
But I mean, at this point, if we go pound for pound, Christian McCaffrey's obviously much better than DeAndre Swift, right?
Mm-hmm.
But wide receivers, I think we take it now. Debo,
Yeah.
he's fallen to a degree. Jordan Ayuk's not as good as Devonta Smith, in my opinion. George Kittle, I think, he had a decent season, but he's had a year and a half now.
If anything, Goddard's probably still trending up a little bit, and he may be trending down.
And the entire
Possibly.
offensive line, I love our offensive line. I don't think anyone involved in the NFL would disagree with that. So
Yeah. And Rodeo's asking who's playing QB. I think they're planning on Purdy, at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, they're still going to obviously consider, I think, as well. And they'll go from there. I mean, they're a team that's fine with going rogue at quarterback somehow. So
yeah, because Garoppolo left for the Raiders.
yeah.
So yeah, what do you think of the Raiders? Like obviously AFC, but
I don't know. I
why
thought they
can't
would
they
be.
get it together?
I
ever?
thought they'd be decent last year,
Yeah.
and they totally proved me wrong. That whole
Sad.
division. I mean, I think the Chargers are another team that I was shocked that they didn't make the league.
I would hate to
last
be
year.
a Chargers fan. I guess they really probably don't have fans.
Herbert
I mean,
Herbert is the guy, man. Like he should be. They should be a great team. I
that's
don't
the
know.
entire history though.
Well,
like
the
look back to
injuries hold them
Bree-
back too, and it's
But look back to Breeze and Tomlinson. They had that great defense, and they can
Yeah.
never get past Peyton Manning or Tom
Yeah.
Brady. And then you have Rivers, and they can never get past the precipice. It would suck to be a Chargers fan.
Herbert's like the perfect Hollywood quarterback. You gotta hope, I guess, that works out. And I think I know we're still in the AFC here, but the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals. you can't count out Joe Burrow and that offense. It's just ridiculous. The defense, I understand, still has concerns, and I know people talk down that O-line, but yeah, I don't know. Not anything to scoff at. And another team that I don't think should be hyped up, the Bills. We've seen enough. We've seen enough.
Josh Allen is the man.
Josh Allen is good. I'll give you that, but it just seems like every single time, like I'm pretty sure it was almost 13 out of the 17 games they hit their under this year. When it comes to points totals, that offense is not what people think it is. It isn't. It really isn't. I mean, prove me wrong. I think Diggs is a beast and Allen is good, but maybe Allen was just a little too banged up last year. I know we were just talking about Herbert. That was the case for Herbert as well. So we'll see what happens there. But I think there's a lot of young quarterbacks that, for as good as they are, you're wondering when they're going to take the leap. And it's so funny. All these guys, they would have said Hurts was worse than half of them.
Right.
So,
it's crazy how it's changed. So really the top of the top is Mahomes. And then second tier, I would put Hurts.
Did you see Mahomes' brother got arrested on like sexual battery?
Did you see the video?
Yeah. Doesn't look great.
Yeah, he's like, so if you haven't seen it, Jackson Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes' brother. And he's a complete horrible person, it seems, on social media.
Just a meme, kind of.
Yeah. And he was at a club or a bar, and there's an interaction with a bar owner, a very attractive female. And he like pulls her by the hair backwards and forcibly kisses her. And the guy always seemed like scum, but this is just the proof that I think everybody needs to finally just get him out of the public spotlight.
Could you imagine if you're Mahomes, like your brother just getting all this, garnering all this internet? I'll say I feel a little bad for his wife, even though to an extent she like kind of brings it on herself. But at the same time, people I think are a little unfair about his wife. But either way, the brother thing, come on, man, just lay low. I mean, I think the last brother that was this bad was probably Michael Vick's brother, which, come on.
Marcus?
Oh, Marcus
was horrible. I remember, didn't he have a...
Marcus is why the dog thing happened. Like, Mike was playing football.
You're right.
He wasn't even at the house. Like, and everyone, I've argued PETA people over this. Mike Vick, he didn't know, all right?
Ooh, some PETA people coming up on the other side, maybe. That would be a lot of fun to bring those types on.
Hey, if you want to debate animal rights, call me.
We could talk about football forever, and we will. Continue throughout the season. So if you're not a football fan, I apologize, but this is our time.
We're giving you a little bit
pirating
of
the radio.
We're giving you a little bit of everything.
We can do whatever we want. One of the things I'm going to force you to talk about for a second is wrestling.
Wrestling.
Have you ever been a fan of wrestling?
Loosely. I would watch WrestleMania here and there.
Hold on. No one just watches WrestleMania. Like, are you talking like WWE, like Raw? You just watch from here and there?
I guess,
okay,
yeah.
I was like, because WrestleMania happens once a year. You can't just like watch.
Well, my buddies would get like pay-per-view, and sometimes
I see what you're
I'd
saying. Okay. Yeah,
I wasn't.
Like, you would stream it. Yeah, okay.
They would order it. I wouldn't really be necessarily too into it, but I think the more I grew up and then got into boxing more and got into UFC more, and I guess in a way that also made me appreciate WWE and wrestling a little more. I have friends that wrestled. Wrestling in Pennsylvania generally is a huge thing, especially Lehigh Valley area.
So you're talking like amateur high school kind of wrestling.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of opened my eyes.
You're not a wrestler.
Well, yeah. So that's not necessarily like WWE, what you're talking about. But I think that opened my eyes to it. And I do... I catch it on occasion. I obviously...
But you've never been like a fanboy like I am.
No, I like watching McAfee on there. I will say. I think he's great. Yeah,
he's really
funny.
good.
He gets it.
That's actually what I'm getting to. But before I get there, I want to suggest if you've stopped watching wrestling, you were once a fan, like during the Attitude Era. I don't know if you were. It's really ramping up to be a great war between AEW and WWE again. AEW is the competitor to WWE, similar to WCW of the late 90s. And AEW just recently announced that their WrestleMania next year is going to be at Wembley Stadium. Listen to this, dude. The first day that they listed, they sell $4.7 million, making it the largest ever in England. So the first day of ticket sales, the largest in history in England. 50,000 tickets sold in 2 days at Wembley. And people are wondering if they're going to be able to sell this place out. Are they going to have to reduce it? So I got to say, I think wrestling's completely back. But the reason why I bring up wrestling in the first place, Mike Tyson wants to face Logan Paul in a WWE match. That's where we're at in 2023.
Come on. I love that.
So Mike Tyson back when Logan Paul faced Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul was asked, and this is an actual like boxing fighting match. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, if you forgot. They went back and forth. And afterwards, Logan Paul said he'd like to face Mike Tyson in a match and said he thinks he can beat him because he's, quote, old.
Because he's old.
He's old.
He's old.
He's not just old. He's old.
He's giving old.
So first off, Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul in a boxing match, not a wrestling match. You're taking Mike Tyson 10 out of 10 times, right?
I mean, even if it's
Like,
WWE
it's
or whatever.
sad that I feel like I have to think about it because Logan Paul has actually proven, as much as I hate the online persona of the dude, he's proven to be a very dedicated athlete.
Everyone's wanted him to lose, including myself at times. And now I'm just like, damn, he's just gonna win. He's been winning. He's been winning. He continues to. I don't know. People say it's rigged. I don't know how valid that is. I mean, he did. The guy's an athlete.
You're talking his boxing, not the wrestling.
Yeah,
He's obviously right.
Boxing,
we know wrestling's rigged, but we're talking boxing and like the Snoop Dogg event that he did. That seemed like a quasi wrestling in a sense. So Logan Paul wrestling at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins, was it this year? Maybe I don't know. He's really good in the ring. But Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul in a wrestling match. We know it's scripted. It's not fake. Make sure you know that. It's scripted. People get injured.
They have good writers.
But is that something that would cause you to tune into wrestling?
Yeah, I'd watch that.
You'd watch it?
But the problem is, here's just one complaint. That'd probably be pay-per-view, correct?
It's all streaming now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be on Peacock probably.
Okay, well, I have Peacock. Yeah. That's nice. You don't have to pay extra for it. My one complaint with UFC, and I love UFC, especially this time of year where like NBA starts to wind down and MLB gets to the dog days. Those big fights, they're coming up. So I'm not trying to talk down the UFC. The fact you got to pay $60 to get to fight every single time.
Or deal with the worst people at the bar.
Oh my god!
Like if you go to a fight night, it's the worst. I swear it's like.
I mean, and I love all my buddies love UFC, so I don't know. Maybe
bunch
we're
of, like,
maybe
roided
we're
up dudes.
Maybe we're those
drunk.
people.
No, you're the college kids to the side, but it's the stereotypical people you assume to be watching combat sports, getting drunk, and yeah. So finally, man, you're watching Succession. I never really got into it. Sell it to me. Why should I watch this show?
I've been skeptical. I'll be honest. I've been skeptical of Succession from the jump because I know it's based off Fox and the Murdochs. And I mean, if you've listened to me on 1210 before, you know.
So that caused you to be skeptical of the show? That made you not really want to watch it, or?
I don't want it to just be a let's bash Fox fest.
Okay.
Which I was
another liberal
of.
progressive.
Yes.
But
I think. Here's something you have to keep in mind when you start watching it. It is HBO. And no matter what HBO makes, they do it over the top and every single time. So I think like overthinking it, maybe the way that I was a little bit, was maybe counterproductive. Because when I have maybe thought about it less and just watched it, I've been very entertained. The characters are unhinged. The family members are nuts. And I think the dynamic inside, which it's an interesting time that I started watching it. I started even watching it before Tucker got fired, like a day or two before, coincidentally. And after Tucker getting fired, I'm wrapping up season 1 now. It's just so funny seeing, like, I just understand just the timing with that. It's got to be very dramatic there within the family, and that's been, I think, just kind of a cool correlation as I watch it. But it's been awesome. I think all of the characters, they develop at a slow rate, which I kind of like.
That's what. So we watched the first couple episodes, and I just couldn't. I hate watching super rich people bitch and moan about their lives.
Well, I think I look at it as drama. Those aren't super rich people because it's an acting.
But I say that, but I'll go home and Maisie will have Real Housewives on, and I'll.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
I'll be like into that.
Up.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Real Housewives, wrestling. I watch a lot of Jerry Springer, Maury.
Yes. Shout out Jerry. R.I.P.
Survivor.
Jerry, man.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
rest in
Jerry.
peace, Jerry. NN Mang says, first time checking you guys out. So do you guys freewheel the topics on the other side, or is there always sports topics? Rewind, NN Mang. We started with the Philadelphia mayoral race. Really just freewheeling, whatever we want to talk about.
We're going to give you a
topics,
taste.
send us a topic that you want us to talk about. We'll toss it around a little bit as well.
Yeah, we'll give you a taste on politics, sports, streaming, whatever we're feeling. So yeah, feel free to send us anything.
Take you behind the scenes sometimes. For example, one day maybe we'll take you on a tour of the studio if we can get that capability.
Yeah, for sure.
Set up right now out in our main lobby, our hub. Like our studios here at Odyssey are like space age. It's pretty cool looking.
It is. It's definitely an upgrade from most radio studios,
Yeah.
I'd say.
So you go out there, and we actually have our debate table set up already for, again, I'm going to plug it one more time, Monday. Dom Giordano is going to be hosting a mayoral debate with Sherelle Parker, Alan Dom, and Amin Brown. And you can find that right here on YouTube, Facebook, all that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And in doing our job, we've had a lot of interactions behind the scenes with these mayors. And just to close out the show, is there any interaction that you particularly remember with any of these mayors that stands out to you? That
I mean, I know you mentioned it earlier. I think the most genuine, I think, that any of them I've met would probably be Amin. But I haven't had the chance to really speak to all of them. I said hello to Brown when he was here. I said hello to Rebecca at the last forum with Dom. I haven't spoke to Helen. I haven't spoken to Sherelle. And Dom, I briefly said hello when he came
the reason
in
why I bring up this question is Alan Dom is a guy that you look at and you're like, that guy looks boring. He looks like he's not going to be entertaining. He doesn't look like... I mean, sometimes he has a scowl on his face, and he doesn't look like the most friendly. But behind the scenes, I gotta say, hand to heart, guy's one of the nicest individuals to come across in Philadelphia.
He seems that way,
and he's entertaining. He's funny. He laughs. He's bright. And there was a time he actually came in to do a live studio hit, and it was his birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I wish him happy birthday. He goes, Dan, you can't do that on here. I'm like, come on, Dom's got to wish you a happy birthday at least. He goes, yeah, just make sure he doesn't ask how old I am. Like, we can't just look it up. And he knows that. But it's like cracking jokes like that. He's a funny guy. So I really like Alan Dom, and Batman is what I call the guy now, because he, during the George Floyd riots, I guess he was down the shore and was watching it unfold on TV, hopped in his car, drove back to the city, and started arming businesses. Guarding businesses with a mag light, like a 4 foot, or not 4 foot long, like a 2 foot long flashlight, one of those big cop lights. So the guy seems pretty cool. So again, my three are, Dom, Parker, and Amin Brown, and hopefully Monday I can find out which one I like the best. But Anthony, I feel like we got to wrap. We said we were going to do something shorter this time, and it's in around 40 minutes. I was hoping to, be around 30.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We go on longer rants than expected here sometimes, but we'll be around. We're gonna try to do this as much as possible. We'll try to get you another one, hopefully Monday or Tuesday at the latest. So
probably not Monday. I'm gonna be exhausted.
That's true.
Yeah.
So tune in for sure.
Tuesday.
Tune in for the mayoral debate here. What time is that again?
It's gonna be 1 o'clock on Monday.
All
right here on YouTube.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us here on YouTube, and our podcast will now be out on all platforms, Odyssey, or wherever you find your podcast. So keep an eye out, stay tuned in, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.
See you, everyone.
Thanks for watching.